Hi there, and welcome to the Israel-Palestine Report. If you're wondering about why there's a different background, that's because I'm on vacation in Chicago. But that could not stop me from reporting on developments in the war between Israel and Iran. So, as you know, I predicted that there wouldn't be an attack in Iran by Israel, and I was wrong. One of the main reasons I was wrong is because I thought the U.S. and Israel were working together, and that the United States was trying to sort of use the threat of Israeli force to gain leverage in nuclear talks in Oman. But as it turns out, Israel and the United States were not working together. Israel decided to pursue its own path, regardless of the negotiations that Israel and the United States were holding on the nuclear program. Now, so far, the operation has been quite successful in a military sense. Strategic, human costs, a different story, but in a military sense, because the chief of staff at the entire main military staff of the Revolutionary Guard has been taken out, and also many of the most important nuclear scientists and the main facilities, nuclear facilities in Iran, have been hit to some extent. Natanz and now also Fordow has been hit, although Fordow, as we know, is a much more difficult target. But the New York Times and other outlets have said that so far the damage to the Iranian nuclear program has been partial. Some forecasts say that the damage will continue to be partial, that it won't become um, that it won't be able to destroy the nuclear program, even though that's a stated goal of the operation. But it's much too early to judge, right? The operation started a few days ago, and it's going to last between 2 weeks and 1 month. The latest assessment I saw said that it will be closer to 1 month before it is over and the goals are considered to be achieved. So what happened? Despite the damage to Natanz, according to the latest reports and people I've talked to, is believed by the IDF to have collapsed completely. That doesn't mean that it can't be restored, that it can't be fixed, but it the underground component of it has collapsed. Um, but Fordow remains the tougher nut, the crack in the program. So Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Yechiel Leiter, was surprisingly candid on Fox News. He said the following: "The entire operation has to be completed with the elimination of Fordow." Uh, and he said that the U.S. has to provide bunker busters and strategic bombers to do so. And I guess the idea here is to put pressure on the United States to provide it. Leiter also added that the U.S. has both of those things within flying distance of Iran, saying it wouldn't be hard for the United States to provide this. Richard Nephew, who's a former U.S. negotiator who negotiated with Iran, said Israel thus far has targeted important parts of the Iranian nuclear program. But if you're worried about a nuclear breakout, Fordow is the game. Speculating on how Israel could do this, he added, could the Israelis use drones to attack bulldozers if the Iranians tried to dig themselves out? Do the Iranians have a secret escape tunnel? We don't know. Meanwhile, Danny Citronowitz, Iran expert at Tel Aviv University, said Fordow will be challenging without the U.S. It's heavily fortified and deep under a mountain. I'm not sure how much damage we can do there. He also said that Iran is not yet close to point zero. They still have considerable capabilities. So we're hearing the same story here. There's a lot of doubt still whether Israel can completely take out the nuclear program or whether it can just delay the capabilities by a certain amount of time. Now, why is it so important that Fordow be taken out? Natanz and Fordow are um, play very different roles in the Iranian nuclear program. So Natanz is a sort of sprawling above ground uranium enrichment site. It contains 16,000 centrifuges, or at least did contain before the attack, designed for mass scale uranium enrichment at lower levels. And that's a capability that's suitable for civilian nuclear power. There are underground holes, but they lie only 20 meters deep, which is reachable by Israeli bombs. The IAEA Director General confirmed that Israel destroyed completely the above ground Natanz facility and that some of the underground centrifuges have been damaged as well. And Grossi called this, quote, a big setback for Iran's program. But Fordow is a completely different story. It's deeply buried, about half a kilometer beneath a mountain near the religious center of Qom. It's encased in reinforced concrete, and it's impervious to conventional bombs, including the US's massive ordnance penetrator bunker buster, which can only penetrate 60 meters of concrete, and this is even deeper. The centrifuge holes there are built to survive a deep and concentrated attack. Um, uh, Benem Ben Tablu, a senior fellow at the FDD, said Fordow is the be-all and end-all of Iran's nuclear operation. So that is the center of gravity. As of right now, it appears Israel doesn't have the capability to completely take it out. There are other Israeli targets that it has been focusing on, will continue to focus on centrifuge production lines, nuclear scientists, facilities in other places such as Esfahan, the uranium conversion facility there, a fuel fabrication plant there that are also critical to the bomb making supply chain. But if they can retain Fordow, they can retain the ability to break out and build a bomb in the short term. So in order to be able to take out Fordow, Israel's asked the Trump administration to join the operation. And that's why you're hearing so much about Fordow now in the media. It's part of a pressure campaign. That's why Yechiel Leiter said what he said on Fox News. It's part of a pressure campaign to get the Trump administration directly involved in a war. This is the first time that I'm aware of that Israel has publicly asked the United States to get involved in one of its wars. So that is against a classic Israeli doctrine of not asking other countries to participate in wars. And of course, it's a strategic oversight or misstep, to put it mildly, that this was not worked out in advance of the attack, because it could mean that Israel will not be able to finish the attack successfully if it doesn't get the support from the United States that it ultimately needs. An Israeli official told Axios that President Trump suggested he do so if necessary in a recent conversation with Netanyahu. Yechiel Leiter also said that the entire operation has to be completed with the assistance of the United States. What are the Americans saying? Senior White House official acknowledged that, quote, whatever happens today cannot be prevented, but we have the ability to negotiate a successful, peaceful resolution to this conflict if Iran is willing. And the fastest way for Iran to accomplish peace is to give up its nuclear weapons program. Meanwhile, David Albright said that if Fordow remains intact and accessible, a nuclear program Israel is determined to eliminate could actually accelerate. So while we're hearing from the Israeli officials how important it is for the U.S. to assist in the attack on Fordow, what we're hearing from American officials is something very different. We're hearing two different things. We're hearing that talks could be a better solution than bombings. And we're also hearing that if the bombings fail, it could bring Iran to rush towards a bomb when before they were kind of playing the time. There's debate over whether Iran was really headed for a weapon directly or if they were showing signs that they were heading towards a weapon in order to encourage the U.S. to reach a deal. The U.S. and Israel differ on their interpretation of all this. As of now, senior White House officials said the U.S. is not considering direct involvement at present in the war, but left the possibility open. And that's pretty much what Trump is saying publicly. Trump told ABC News, we're not involved in it. It's possible we could get involved, but we are not at this moment involved. Yeah, okay. That's a pretty obvious interpretation. Trump declined to comment about whether Netanyahu had personally pleaded for more U.S. involvement and how he felt about that. Trump did talk at length to Putin and said that he's open to Putin mediating between Iran and Israel. And we know, of course, that one of the things that Putin definitely said in that conversation is don't get involved. The question is how influential is Putin on Trump today? There's been some bad blood between them over Ukraine. His influence on Trump has lessened. So that's an interesting question. Trump said about the issue, I would be open to it. Putin is ready. He called me about it. We had a long talk about it. We talked about this more than his situation, so more than about Ukraine. This is something I believe is going to get resolved. Quote. Trump said that he's not giving Iran a new ultimatum, even though his 60-day ultimatum went by. He said, quote, there's no deadline, but they are talking. They'd like to make a deal. Talking, they're continuing to talk. And he said that the Israeli attack may have forced a deal to go quicker, actually. So Trump really hasn't given up on his doctrine of trying to reach a deal. And part of him is hoping that this will make it more likely. But it's very hard to believe Iran will be willing to talk as long as Israel is attacking. They're probably going to say to Trump, it certainly would be the smart thing to do from their perspective, we will only talk and we'll be happy to reach a deal if you make Israel stop their attack. And then that would put Trump in the position of having to choose between Israel um, and Iran. And then you have the domestic political component that comes in. Trump has to choose between going with Putin and trying to end this war or supporting Israel. That would be choosing sides within the MAGA world. Trump's base is very much divided. A lot of people in the MAGA world are warning against U.S. military involvement in the Iranian war. For example, Steve Bannon, he said that if the U.S. intervenes even in defending Israel, slippery slope to total war. Israel puts Israel first, as it should. I have no problem with that. But America must put America first. I don't want to see everyone happy about this. In the Middle East, when two old cultures collide, unexpected things can happen. And Jack Sobiek said, what do you do in turbulent times? You put America first. Let's be clear. Their war is not our war. Our war is here at home and so on and so forth. Tucker Carlson said, the real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacemongers. Who are the warmongers? Those who support American entry into Israel's war with Iran. And that would be a middle finger to millions of voters. Charlie Kirk said, the Hawks will push America to increase its involvement. They'll say, eliminate the Ayatollahs. They'll say, if we just topple the Iranian regime, we'll be welcomed as liberators. Be suspicious of these arguments. And so on and so forth. Most of Trump's vocal supporters are saying the United States should not be involved. That's not an America first position. Of course, there are those, like Lindsey Graham and so on and so forth, who would support this intervention, but they definitely look like a minority. And that's why that, along with the vow that Trump has made to make deals, seems to me it's more likely that Trump will not involve himself in the war. But the more successful the military operation is, the more likely it is that the United States intervenes. Right? We know that Trump doesn't like losers. We know Trump likes successes. If it looks like Netanyahu is going to be able to achieve his goal and take out the Iranian nuclear program, he may get involved so that it doesn't happen without him. But the worse the campaign goes for Netanyahu, the less likely he is to get involved. Over the last couple of days, it definitely seems like the campaign's going worse for Netanyahu. The people who were killed in Bat Yam and other civilian casualties have certainly created backlash in Israel. Um, Trump will wait and see if there's been any successes on Fordow before he commits himself. So it's a very fluid situation. My gut is that Trump will not get the U.S. involved. He ran on the ticket of ending wars. If he actually joins a war, which is something that Biden never did, will look very much like he's going back on his promise. And I think that's something he's not going to do. So he's probably going to back Israel without getting directly involved. So we really stand on the precipice of what could be the most consequential U.S. involvement in a war in a long time, and but we're also seeing Israel give up its independence as a strategic actor by basically going into a war and begging the United States to save it. Um, Really, we're seeing Netanyahu gamble with his entire legacy on this war, and it's very responsible that he did that without any idea how it will turn out. So will luck hold for Netanyahu? Will he achieve his goals? This is not a well planned out operation. Just like we saw in with the assassinations of Nasrallah and the fall of Syria and so on and so forth. There are tactical successes that Israel has, but strategically, it continues to not have a clear goal. Going into this war, it's talking about destroying the nuclear program. Now it's also talking about regime change. These are goals that it can't accomplish without the United States. It doesn't actually have the support of the United States. So it's going into a war without clear possibility of winning on its own. So, yeah, we'll be following this very closely. I'll try to put these out every day as things with Iran reach ahead. All very unpredictable. We've all seen that I've been wrong about things, but I'll try to give you the best information that I can on time. So if you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon, consider subscribing to my Substack, The Ground Scheme, and listening to my History of the Land of Israel podcast. I'll be here again very soon.